We hear the word democracy thrown around all the time. It's pretty much the foundation of so much of our world. But what does it actually mean? Where did this huge idea even come from? And what are the essential parts that make it tick? So let's dive in and really break down the blueprint for how we govern ourselves.
And the word itself is actually the perfect place to start. It comes all the way from ancient Greece, and it's a mashup of two simple words, demos, which means the people, and kratos, which means rule or power. So when you get right down to it, democracy is, quite literally, rule by the people. It's this idea that, at the end of the day, the citizens are the ones in charge.
And maybe no one has ever summed up the spirit of that idea better than Abraham Lincoln. This phrase right here, government of the people, by the people, for the people, it's so much more than just a famous quote. It's really a mission statement. It means the government comes from us, it's run by us, or the people we choose, and it has to work for our benefit.
Okay, but rule by the people sounds great, right? But it's a huge idea. It needs a real, practical blueprint to actually function. So how does it really work? What are the core pieces you need to have in place?
So that gets us to the big question. Let's say we were building a democracy from the ground up. What are the absolute must-haves? What are the non-negotiable principles you'd need to make this whole thing not just work, but actually succeed? Let's get into them.
So first up, and this is the big one, is popular sovereignty. This is really the bedrock of the whole thing. All it means is that the people are the ultimate source of political power. Think of it this way. The government doesn't give us power, it's the other way around. The people give the government its power, and in theory, we can take it back.
Next on the list, you've got political equality. This is that classic idea of one person, one vote. It basically means that in the eyes of the political system, every single citizen's voice has the same weight when it's time to vote. It doesn't matter who you are, how much money you have, none of that should give you more political clout than anybody else.
Now, here's where we get to one of the most important balancing acts in a democracy. On one side, yeah, the majority gets to make the decision. That's majority rule. But, and this is so important, that power can't be unlimited. It has to be balanced by minority rights. You have to protect the basic freedoms of everyone, even those who aren't in the majority.
And what holds this whole thing together? Well, you've got to have this crucial guardrail, the rule of law. This one's super simple, but incredibly powerful. Nobody is above the law. Not regular citizens, not police officers, and especially not the leaders in charge. Everyone plays by the same set of rules. That's the ultimate check on power.
And of course, that's not the whole story. A healthy democracy needs a few more key things, right? You've got to protect fundamental rights and freedoms. You need regular, free, and fair elections so people can actually change their minds and their leaders. And it also relies on us, the citizens, to be involved, to demand transparency, to be open to different viewpoints, and to participate in ways that go beyond just casting a vote.
Okay, so we have these principles, but how do we, the people, actually use our power? Well, when you boil it down, there are really two main ways it's been done, both in the past and today. Two main paths for the people to rule.
So on one side, you've got direct democracy. This is like old school ancient Athens, where all the citizens would literally get together and vote on laws themselves. We still see little bits of this today with things like local referendums. But the much more common way is representative democracy. This is probably what you're most familiar with. We vote for people, presidents, members of parliament, you name it, to go and make those decisions for us. The catch is, they have to answer to us come election time. That's the accountability piece.
So yeah, most democracies you see around the world today are representative. But even then, they're not all built the same way. And let's take a look at a couple of the most common government structures.
All right, so the two big ones you'll hear about are parliamentary and presidential systems. And the key difference really boils down to this. In a parliamentary system, the government's leader, the prime minister, comes from the legislature, from the parliament. They're all kind of fused together. But in a presidential system, the leader, the president, is elected completely separately from the legislature. This creates what we call a separation of powers, where they're designed to act as a check on each other's power.
And we can even get more specific. You can think of these as different lenses or flavors of democracy. For example, a constitutional democracy is one where a constitution puts clear limits on what the government can and can't do. A participatory democracy really puts a spotlight on getting citizens involved in all sorts of ways, not just voting. And then you have a liberal democracy, which really focuses on one main thing, protecting the rights and freedoms of every single individual.
Okay, so we've gone through a lot of definitions, principles, and different systems. But let's bring it all home. Why does any of this actually matter? How does this big, abstract blueprint connect to your life? Well, it's because from that simple, ancient Greek idea, rule by the people, all the way to the super complex systems we have across the globe today, the basic promise of democracy is exactly the same. It's the one framework that is designed, at its core, to make sure the ultimate power isn't in the hands of a king or a dictator, but with us, the people.
So, I'm going to leave you with a question to chew on. Just think about your own day-to-day life. From the laws that keep things orderly, to your right to speak your mind, to the simple fact that you can vote for your leaders, which of all these democratic principles we talked about do you see showing up the most? It's a pretty interesting thing to think about.